All right, guys, it's time to address the warship in the room because fuck me, I shouldn't have done this. That was a bad joke. China, Taiwan, obviously there's some tensions escalating here, and I want to talk about what this might do in terms of having an effect on the market, because obviously the Russia-Ukraine crisis did something to the markets as well. It didn't have a direct impact on crypto, but it had a very large indirect impact on crypto, and I'm going to be talking to you guys about that in this video. Now, first of all, before I continue, we are talking about a subject of human tragedy potentially around the corner, so it's really sad, it's horrible, but I am not going to be talking about those things in this video. We're going to be keeping this focused on the economic facts in this video only. And really what I want to talk to you guys about is what might happen if this thing does break out, because if you've not particularly been paying attention, you might not know that Nancy Pelosi, the House Speaker of the United States, visited Taiwan, which gives them a little bit more legitimacy in the international arena. And China's very upset about this because they believe that Taiwan is actually a part of China and Taiwan wants independence. There's a big tension there and another potential brink of war situation, just like what we saw with Ukraine and Russia. And the thing is, right, if you look back at what happened between Ukraine and Russia, the war between them two kind of really escalated and became, like a Russia invading Ukraine situation around here in this circle, which means that kind of while it was happening, we did see a little bit of a run up for Bitcoin, but directly afterwards, we saw quite a substantial drop. And if we actually measure this from our high to low, Bitcoin actually fell by more than 50%, ladies and gents, and that is quite a large drop down for Bitcoin. And I don't want to say that this was because of the tensions between Ukraine and Russia, but what I absolutely am quite confident saying is that wartime makes it risky to make investments, and it makes it especially risky to make risky investments. And so what we tend to see during times with heightened risk is that people try to de-risk. People try to reduce their risk, which might mean, selling their stock market holdings. For example, take a look at what happened to the stock market, the S&P 500 right here, right around that time as well. Obviously, a little bit after the invasion became a full-scale invasion. We saw quite a substantial drop down over here. We saw people flooding into the US dollar for security, at the very, very same time. Take a look at this. This is kind of roughly the same time. Look at how much the dollar rallied up. I mean, this is an index, and the dollar actually still managed to pick up 11.8% here. It's absolutely bloody enormous, potentially even ready for another leg up relatively soon. It looks like this is a potential bullish kind of falling wedge pattern in this market right now. And the thing is, one of the things that I want to, just highlight to you guys is, one of the things that can slow down the economy and just generally make things worse for everybody is, when supply chain issues happen, when shipments can't be made or when there are production issues. And obviously Taiwan manufactures a lot of GPUs. They're huge with semiconductors and so on. These are very, very important things for the modern world, as you might imagine. And obviously that puts us in a very, very tricky position. We have a situation here where, off risk might become a little bit more appealing, resulting in bigger drops for Bitcoin. I mean, this was a minus 63% drop. And, if we ended up pulling something like this again, let's say Bitcoin by that point manages to rally up to $28,000, a minus 63% drop still puts us pretty damn low, down potentially below $10,000 with some quite scary targets there. But I'm not going to lay off on the doom porn just for the minute, because it does get even worse. The thing is, ladies and gents, is if we are looking at one of the things that makes the China-Taiwan situation perhaps particularly concerning is the fact that the US is involved, right? And so now you've got major world powers. I mean, like Russia and Ukraine, like, yes, Russia's a very powerful country, but Ukraine, not so much. And so, obviously it's horrible, but it's not as scary for the rest of the world as, the US being involved. And that is a factor which is actually different in this situation. And I don't even want to go down the avenue of world war and stuff like that. I honestly don't think it's going to happen. I think the media just blows all of this stuff way out of proportion. But bottom line, if that's what we get, if there is a big nasty thing that ends up happening, I mean, it's fairly obvious, guys. Nobody is going to want to be in risky investments. That's going to mean even more speculative, stocks that people are holding. Things like Tesla and so on are going to dump even harder. I mean, take a look at how Tesla has performed within that same time frame as well. I mean, it has recovered quite a bit of what it lost, but it did drop by more than 40%. And so, obviously, these more kind of speculative stocks, there's just going to be less reason. I mean, if the US and China start having a lot of beef and Tesla's manufacturing a lot of cars in China, you know what I mean? Like, it just makes, trade goes, everything's bad in war. Nobody wants war other than companies that profit from war, and so that is something to be quite well aware of. I think is that we could be looking at a situation where institutional players need to kind of de-risk and make sure that they're not taking on excessive amounts of risk. And unfortunately, what that does mean for Bitcoin is potentially a situation where we kind of return to levels where we were before institutional investors were actually in the game, and that is going to be putting us down in the 2017 price levels right here. I mean, we had institutional players in the game pretty much since $3,000 in 2017. In fact, depending on how you define institutional, we've had them since like 2014. And obviously, I don't think we're going to be going anywhere near that low. But what I am saying is that if you are going to see a lot of the money from institutional players leave the market, and if you trace back to when a lot of them started to join the market, I think that could start putting us in very, very tight situations. And this isn't a comment on Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin on its own is obviously a phenomenal asset, and I love holding it. I've loved holding it for all these years, ever since 2017, because that's when I joined the market in kind of early 2017. That's when I entered the crypto space, and I've loved being here ever since. I think Bitcoin is an incredibly strong, resilient asset, but bottom line, if things are going to be getting bad, macro world stage wise, I just don't think that Bitcoin is going to be able to hang, and it so far hasn't. I mean, when things started to get rough for the stock market, if we take a look at its all-time high, which was printed at the very end of last year, if we look at what happened to Bitcoin in that very same time, very end of last year, that puts us around over here. Bitcoin has from that high to our low has fallen by more than 65% to our low, and by more than 55% to our current price, right? So, this is to say that, and by the way, this is in the same time where the S&P 500 to its low only dropped by 25%, or to its current level only by 13%. I mean, it's pretty clear that if things are going to be bad for conventional markets, that they're going to be very, very bad for crypto as well. And that, again, does potentially indicate that we could be dropping lower. Now, like I said a little bit earlier in this video, I don't actually think that we're going to be seeing something like that. I think that, it's quite a big, bold speculation to say that we could be getting ready to drop down to levels like that, but it's not something that I want to rule out, because macro wise, bottom line, even though yesterday's video was pretty bullish, and I still stand by it, obviously, I mean, nothing's really changed in the market, even though we are in a nice little midterm uptrend right here, long term we are still in a downtrend, okay, and when we've formed some quite obvious patterns. We've had the market trending down right here, and then we were slowly trending up, fighting the market. This is a classic continuation pattern. Then we continued moving down, and then we formed another one of those continuation patterns. This one was obviously a lot smaller than this one right here, but the overall price movement was pretty much the same. We were just kind of slowly moving up, and then we were leading into the next leg down. And ladies and gents, we're doing the same thing right now. I mean, let's not beat around the bush, and let's certainly not ignore the facts. We are doing the same thing right now, where this market is kind of just trending up, and it is almost getting a little bit parabolic. This is what I was saying in the last video, is it looks like the market wants to break up, and you know what even if we did, we'd still be in the same situation with the Russia-Ukraine situation, because we did set these kind of highs, and we did even end up exceeding them within this situation right here where we peaked above. So we've already done that once. Who's to say that we can't do that again up to our key resistance area at $28,000? You know what I mean? So I think that these, even if the market moves up, we're still in the same position. That's kind of one of the main things I'm saying. And I said this before. If you've been subscribed to the channel, you'll remember this. One of the key things that I was pointing out pretty much is that we can do a lot of things in this market now that are bullish. In the short term, in the midterm, we can flip all sorts of resistance areas. We can do a lot of really, really nice bullish things, but the market in the long term is still going to be staying bearish purely because of how much we've dropped, right? We're going to have to recover levels like $28,000 for me and many, many other people to even start thinking that this market has some long-term viability. I think many, many people in the space right now are expecting that $28,000 level, and we're also expecting resistance there as well. So actually, I should rephrase that. That's not correct. It's not the case that many people are expecting 28, but those who are expecting it to be resistance. You know what I mean? So we gotta kind of climb above these levels to be in clear waters. And that's geopolitical factors aside. I mean, that's aside from what's going on in the real world. And guys, like I said, I don't want to start beef in the comments about what's going on in China and in Taiwan and stuff like that. Honestly, it's not something for me to comment on. I'm not qualified to. And let's be honest, guys, neither are you. But what I am quite interested in exploring is how this might impact the market. And like I said, the bottom line that I'm seeing right here, let me just blow up my camera right here. I'm not using my normal camera, but hopefully you guys are cool with it. What I am seeing right here in this market is another potential situation where we could be looking at, again, these risk on assets becoming a little bit less appealing. When things are unstable in the world, just like we saw with Russia and Ukraine, Bitcoin dumps, when God, this looks horrible. This is supposed to be stuck on. Fuck me, that's embarrassing. I'm not even going to take this off. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have even pointed that out. I bet most of you didn't even realize that. When we had the coronavirus market crash in March 2020, that was another situation where things looked uncertain in the world, and we saw corresponding drops in the stock market and so on. And obviously Bitcoin followed. Bitcoin fell from, a high of about $10,000 down to a low of about 3.6, 3.8, depending on what you're looking at, which is, more than a 60% drop. And it happened super quick, within like a month. And it was the same for the stock market and so on, quite horrific drops. And, all of this is to say that Bitcoin isn't immune from these things. If things are actually getting rough in the real world, if we are actually looking at a situation where, real world problems are making people decide that they don't want to be in speculative markets, that they don't want to be taking risks, that they don't want to be buying stocks of companies that trade between the United States and China, for example. If that's the kind of situation that we're looking at, it's the people with that money that can move the price of Bitcoin. Well, put it this way, something like Bitcoin, a very risky speculative asset, it's going to perform well when everyone's happy. When people are happy, when they're making money, they're feeling greedy. That's the natural result of making money, is you start feeling greedy, and when they feel greedy, that's when they start taking additional risk, right? Pretty straightforward. I think most of you are on board with me there. And so, when it starts becoming less appealing to be making those risks, to be taking those risks and playing the market, Bitcoin has consistently been shot down. I don't like to be the bringer of doom or glory. I mean, ideally we're not going to be feeling either of those things because we're competent traders and we don't, succumb to the waves of the market. Ideally we can all stand independent of it, and if you can't, then you probably don't. Let's be honest, you haven't made it this far on the video. You can't make it 13 minutes into a Four Flies video and still be a sensitive chump that believes all the bullshit. No, of course, we're trying to stay independent from it. But, again, when we look at the facts, ladies and gents, I mean, this is what happened when people were scared of the coronavirus crash. This is what happened directly after the war with Russia began. And obviously, this is down to many, many factors. It's not just the war with Russia and Ukraine that triggered such a big drop in Bitcoin and, of course, the rest of the markets around the world. It's not just this, but it's a combination of things, and each additional thing that we stack on top, each additional bad thing that's happening in the world that's making people less optimistic about the future and so on, is going to pile on and essentially, I think, just remove a little bit of the demand. Now, there is this, sentiment among Bitcoin maximalists that, war would be good for Bitcoin, tragedy would be good for Bitcoin because it's a hedge against the systems and so on. I think it's bullshit, honestly. I don't believe any of it. I never really did. It, to me, I don't, you know what I mean? Like if my house, God forbid, if my house, touch wood, doesn't, hopefully it doesn't happen, but if my house does burn down, and I lose absolutely everything, I'm not thinking, oh yeah, let me buy some fucking Bitcoin. Like, no, I'm not thinking about anything like that. I'm thinking about, I don't know, like, let me make sure I have enough rice and chicken for my family or something. You know what I mean? Like I want food, I want fuel, I want real stuff that I can use. I don't want Bitcoin. I don't want no one's thinking about financial freedom when they have to escape their country. Like, no, you're grabbing as many, US dollars ideally, obviously what most people want around the world. You're grabbing as much of whatever stable currency you can find, and you're not looking at Bitcoin in terms of in times of crisis. And so this long-standing theory of tragedy is going to come around, the stock market's going to crash, the US economy is going to crash, the dollar is going to implode, and all of this money is going to flood into Bitcoin. Well, ladies and gents, we've had a pretty bloody rough 2 years. Okay, we've had a pretty bloody rough 2.5 years actually, and I don't think it's fair to say that Bitcoin has performed particularly well. Obviously, if we compare Bitcoin to what happened exactly 2 years ago, yes, we're like 3-4 times up. We're doing well. But if you look at what happened afterwards with the other crises that ended up hitting the market, Bitcoin hasn't weathered them. All right, it's just a cold hard fact. You can deny it if you want. It's not going to change reality, ladies and gents. Bitcoin doesn't respond well to world tragedies. So let's hope for everybody's sake that we don't end up, entering yet another war. We don't need more of that in this world. And of course, if we do, then please be aware of what might happen to conventional markets, and by extension, what might end up happening to Bitcoin. Very interesting and different style of video from me today. I'd be curious to know what you guys are thinking. Obviously, depending on what we see in this market, you already know the deal. I'm going to be trading all of this right here on Bybit. Check them out with the link in the description down below, because you're going to be getting over $4,000 completely free of charge. In fact, what I want to do is just show you how easy this is. If we type in my YouTube channel and I just bring you onto one of my videos, this is super straightforward. I've actually already got a tutorial for you on this. If you just look in the description, you'll see this link right here. Get over $4,000 by signing up to the main exchange that I trust with my trading activities. This is indeed the main exchange that I use. It'll take you to this beautifully put page right here, where you're getting a $4,000 potentially higher starting bonus, low commissions, easy to use trading platform. These are all the benefits that you probably already know about, and so on. There's also some cool stuff right here. I'm not going to talk about it, but there are some free products that are available to you as well. So check this out. The link is in the description, but I've also got this video right here where I'm teaching you how to claim your bonuses as well. So it's a super quick video. I literally sign up to Bybit in this video and show you. I put on a black screen just to show you how quick that sign up process is. Look at this. It's from 37 seconds and I'm done at 1 minute 10. It literally takes like 30 seconds. But when I say it takes 30 seconds, I'm not fucking around, ladies and gents. It's a very quick process and showing you exactly how to do this. If you want to get yourself in on that action, if you want to get your $4,000, check out that link in the description down below. And of course, you already know the deal with VIP. If you want to be watching me trading in real time, it's going to be the first link in the description down below. Very same deal right here, 4 flies gold. And then to join VIP, click on my name at the bottom of any Telegram post inside of my Telegram channel, and then message me. It is the only way to join. Or if you want to skip that step, you can just go directly to this link, which is direct contact to me. This is, again, the only way to join. Ladies and gents, hope you have enjoyed this one. Very different one. Let me know what you think in the comments. We're going to come at you with a little bit more regular analysis later on. Actually, I don't want to sign off just yet. Clearly, I'm not very good at doing these outros. I want to talk to you a little bit about the short-term price action, because I was talking about this price area right here. Where is my box? I drew a very nice box yesterday. Where is it? Just disappeared, apparently. That's fantastic. All right, no problem. We'll just draw another box. Well, the box that I had drawn was essentially something that looked a little bit like this. And this representing an area of support. We are now basically below it. I mean, we're still kind of in it, but to me, this is below. This is bad news. The good stuff, the good news is that we have quite a strong area of support in this region, in my opinion. I mean, you guys might not agree, but I actually think that 21.7 is going to be a pretty good area for Bitcoin. This is actually probably my preferred area for Bitcoin to drop down to, just given how strong it's been as resistance. Unfortunately, we didn't really use it as support on the way down when we fell here on the 25th of July, but hopefully that does change right here so we can get a little bit of a blast off. I'd be curious to see if we have any indicators also overlaying some support in that region. And yes, we do. We have a beautiful 4-hour Ichimoku cloud. Guess where it stretches right down to? It stretches exactly down to my yellow line right there. So I think that's beautiful. If we end up getting a drop down here at some point in the next 3 days, 2.5 days, I guess, that could be quite nice for Bitcoin. Unfortunately, our recent lackluster performance has resulted in this Ichimoku cloud starting to close up. Take a look at this. This cloud was previously quite thick. Now it's not. And what happens when the cloud closes up is that it turns red. So, that could potentially spell a little bit of a problem for Bitcoin. Taking a look at the Ichimoku cloud, we still haven't been able to break into it. I'm not too worried about it overall, but, the Ichimoku cloud is there. And even though I'm not worried about it, it is still an important indicator. Maybe I'm just not being responsible by not being worried about it. But, I do think we're going to be able to break into it. Put it this way, I don't think that this is going to be a problem. It's quite a large cloud. I mean, it's a fucking enormous cloud. My God, it goes all the way up to 33K. And it starts down here at what price level? It starts down here at 22.7. So this is a more than $10,000 Ichimoku cloud right here. I mean, this is absolutely enormous. One of the biggest ones we've seen in a while. Like I said, 44% range right there. However, this is still on the daily time frame, and so breaking into it for a little bit of trading action, even if we end up dropping down, is still very much on the cards. The good news is, we do still have quite a nice bit of confluence in terms of support. We've got this area right here where the price, where the two lines intersect between our 21.7 existing support area and this red line, which represented the the ascending triangle pattern that the market was in. If you take a look at these two, I need a bit more of a clean chart for this because this is getting quite confusing now. Which chart should I use? Let's use this one. If you take a look at, let's just draw this red line again, something that looks a little bit like this. And then we've got an ascending triangle right here. Let me draw this a little bit lower. You probably put the line right there. We've got an ascending triangle right here. We ended up breaking out of it twice, actually. And then we have another potential ascending triangle looking something a little bit like this, which, this is where we could end up potentially, coiling up a little bit more before potentially getting a nice explosion to the upside. We've already done it once, so who's to say that it can't happen again? Bitcoin loves to use these ascending triangle patterns. It's done it for a very long time, and I anticipate that it will continue to do so for a very long time as well. So quite a lot going on in the market. Like I said, this is all quite an exciting time to be trading, and when you are trading, you do need to be making sure that you're putting your money in a place that you trust. So if you want to gain access to Bybit and enjoy a huge bonus, but also just use the very same platform I'm using, plus get your tutorial on how to even do it in the first place, then the way to do so is, of course, by checking out this link in the description down below. And like I said, VIP is right here as well. So there you go. Really hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, you know what to do. Hit up the likes, subscribe, tick the bell. We're back. Yesterday came back with a video. Today back with a video, and we are going to continue to be on it as well. So next few days, I can't lie, might be a little bit shaky, but I will try and make the videos earlier on in the day. So if you're in my time zone or similar, it'll actually be better for you. Usually I do upload at this time of day though. All right guys, hope you have enjoyed this one, and I'm out. Bye bye.